Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be making a very classic Indian dish that's popular all over the world, and it is Palak Paneer. Now Palak Paneer has its origins in North India, but you'll find it anywhere in India. You go to the UK, you'll see it, you go to the US, you'll see it, and many other parts of the world. What this reminds me of is these highway dhabas or roadside restaurants. When you're driving from Delhi to Punjab, you have a Palak Paneer with some tandoori roti and some salad on the side, and life is just good. So let's get started. Let's talk about the ingredients first. So obviously for a Palak Paneer, you have paneer over here, which is Indian cottage cheese. It's fantastic stuff. We make it at home, but you can buy it from the store. We have some palak or spinach that's been washed a few times to make sure there's no dirt in it. Some onions, tomatoes, ginger, garlic, some dry spices, whole spices, and some spice powders as well. And we'll talk about them as we cook. And we have some fresh coriander or cilantro, some fresh green chilies, butter and cream. What's a good dish without butter and cream, right? So we're going to move to the first step now, which is blanching our spinach. So to blanch our spinach, we have some water that's boiling, and we just drop our spinach in there, and the spinach has got to be in there for no more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. You don't want it overcooked because it starts getting bitter. So we're going to watch it carefully, make sure it's not there for too long. So almost exactly 2 minutes later, we can see the spinach, which was huge in quantity, is all wilted down, but it's still nice and green. Now, here's a chef tip. To make sure this stays nice and green, so you have great color in your dish, you transfer this to an ice bath right away. Let it sit in the ice bath for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to move to blending the spinach. Now, this has been sitting in an ice bath for about 1.5 minutes, so it's nice and cool. So now I'm going to add to this some fresh coriander and a couple of green chilies. This is not a spicy dish if you don't want too much green chili. We're going to add all of this to our blender. If you want, as an option, this is cold enough. If you feel it's not cold enough, the spinach, you can also add a couple of ice cubes. That's another tip for you. Look at our beautiful rich green paste. That's exactly what you want, and blanching and ice bath does that for you. So let's move to the next step. I have some oil. It's very little bit oil, not much, because this dish needs to be made in butter. Some people use ghee, but I believe butter is a better option for this dish, simply because that gives you the flavor that you get in restaurants all over India. You want your heat at about medium, so we're going to melt this butter down a little bit, and while that's melting, we can move to adding some dry spices. I'm using some minimal spices here. I have some bay leaves, so we'll toss them in there. And I have some cinnamon sticks over here, so in go the cinnamon sticks, and also just some cumin seeds or zira. So we'll put that in there as well, and we're going to give that one quick stir. Now, the reason you add oil first then butter, I'm sure most of you already know this, but that way the butter doesn't burn when you add some oil. So that's another tip for you. So always add oil first and then add the butter, then your butter won't burn. So now that this is going for a couple minutes, we're going to add the garlic. Now with this garlic, I have some garlic here that's finely chopped, and you don't want it too fine because you want to taste that garlic. At least I do, because I love garlic. So we add the garlic in here, and now we want to make sure this garlic browns before we move to the next step. So we're going to stir it for about 2 to 3 minutes till it gets nice and brown, and then we'll move on. Our garlic is nice and brown. I hope you can see that in there. There you go. That's what we want. You get a nice toasty garlic. At this point, we're going to add ginger and finely chopped onions. As fine as you can do it. If you can't, then you can use grated onion, or even blended or pureed onions. That's fine too. But I chopped them here earlier. So we'll add that. We're going to stir this. Now, we don't want to cook these onions till they're as brown as the garlic. We just want to make sure they're cooked until they're translucent. Now you can see my onions are nice and translucent but not burnt. We don't want them browned or burnt. At this stage, we're going to add tomatoes. Just a little bit. Not too much, because if you add too many tomatoes, that's going to change the color. We want this dish to be green at the end. I'm also going to add some spice powders. What I have here is some homemade garam masala, some coriander powder. Now what I do is I toasted the coriander first and then I ground it. That adds a beautiful flavor. And then we have some haldi or turmeric, some Kashmiri red chili powder, and salt to taste. You adjust it according to your taste. We can add all of that together in here. And we're going to give this a mix and stir it until all of the oil separates and all of this becomes a nice mixture instead of separate onion and tomato. Okay, now you can see that's become a nice masala. The fragrance is just amazing. I wish you guys could smell this. At this point, I'm going to add some kasuri methi. This is a very critical part of the dish. And what I do is I actually grind the methi and keep it ready. So that way I don't have to, do it each time. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of that. And at the same time, I'm also going to add my spinach, my beautiful green creamy spinach, back in the mixture. This has been cooking for 3-4 minutes and you notice how I'm stirring it constantly. If I don't, this is going to splatter and might hurt you. So keep stirring, just to avoid any accidents. You don't want that in the kitchen. While I'm stirring, I'm going to add just a little bit of cream. We'll add some more later. Just a dash of cream and keep stirring that. And while we're stirring, we're going to add our paneer. And look at the color of the dish, guys. Perfect green color, that's what you want. So we throw our paneer in there. Now a lot of people fry the paneer first. I don't do that. You can if you want to, there's no problem. But even this way, it tastes perfectly fine. Now after you add the paneer, don't stir anymore. What you want to do is gently fold. Now once this cooks for about 3 or 4 minutes, then the palak paneer is essentially done, but we're going to add a tadka to this or a tempering, and I'll show you that next. Okay, so this has been going for 4 or 5 minutes. We're going to let it cook until the paneer is nice and soft and tender. So while that's doing, let's make our tadka. And for that, I have the same thing, some oil and butter, so the butter doesn't burn. But we're using butter. Some people use ghee, and that's perfectly fine. To that, I'm going to add a couple of Kashmiri red chilies whole. Just break them and toss them in there. That's perfect. And I'm going to add also some more zira or cumin seeds and just a pinch of red chili powder for some color. This is really not going to add any spice to it. It's Kashmiri red chili powder, so it's purely color. So we add this and give it a quick mix, and that's done. And now we're ready to serve. There you have it. Our palak paneer is ready. To that, we're going to add our tempering or tadka, which we made just earlier. Oh, look at that. A thing of beauty. So we add just a little bit of that on top to give it some flavor and some color. And you also want to dress it with some cream. This is fresh cream. So give it a little twirl. And finally, just like they serve in restaurants, we're going to add a few little matchsticks of ginger. And you can place them anywhere you like. And just a few onion rings as well, because onions go very well with this dish, as with most northern dishes. And there you have it, folks. That's my palak paneer, restaurant style. I hope you make this dish and enjoy it as much as we do in our family. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.